Welcome to another edition of the CS Podcast presented by the NFL Draft Bible and NUC Sports. Be sure to check out the NUC Sports magazine at NFLDraftBible.com. I'm your guys' host, Chris Shanafel, and it's a pleasure to welcome onto the show former NFL quarterback. He spent most of his professional football career here in Chicago with the Bears. He also strapped up for the Broncos, Ravens, Browns, and Cowboys, and now he's the vice president of RockSolid, a company that creates light but highly absorbent soft shell helmets. He's Caleb Hanie. Welcome to the program, Caleb. How's everything going?
Going well, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, no problem at all, man. It's a pleasure to have you on. Now, I do want to learn more about RockSolid, but first I want to ask you a couple of questions about your playing career and then get your thoughts on a couple NFL-related topics. So let's go ahead and get started. You entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent out of Colorado State in 2008, and you went on to sign a deal with the Chicago Bears, but not too many people were very familiar with you until the 2010 NFC Championship game against the rival Green Bay Packers at Soldier Field. Now, I'm sure you're tired of being asked about that game, Caleb, but being the third-string quarterback behind Jay Cutler and Todd Collins at the time, I have to think that when you woke up that morning, you weren't expecting to see any snaps in the NFC Championship game. Well, you went on to complete 13 of 20 total passes for over 150 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Can you just talk about that experience of playing in that game? Now, I know it's not the Super Bowl, but what was it like to just have the opportunity to possibly lead the Bears to the promised land?
Yeah, man. Well, that's a good question. That was a highlight of my career. You know, getting to play in that game. It's really my first extensive time playing in a game. It just happened to be on one of the biggest stages, being that we're the only game going on at that time. I think my Twitter following jumped from like 2,000 to 20,000 overnight, so it was pretty crazy. But no, it was a fun experience. I definitely didn't expect to play, but at the same time, I was ready because I had always been ready to go and been taught to be ready to go no matter what the charge. Freshman college, I came in and for a senior quarterback who got injured in the third game of the year, broke his leg out for the year, and so I've been in that situation before, and where you have to get thrown in the middle of the game, and it's very different. It's tough, you know, not getting first team reps and then going out there on the field and trying to, you know, play as efficient as the starter. But you just do the best you can, and luckily that day, you know, I was able to lead us back a little bit and make the game at least exciting. While we didn't come through with a victory, it was a fun game for me and something that my family and myself will always be able to remember.
Absolutely, and the Chicago Bears haven't been back to the playoffs since. Now, Caleb, I mean, there aren't too many people that know the guy like yourself, so I have to ask you, what kind of teammate is Jay Cutler? I mean, we hear so many mixed reports, so many mixed stories about the guy. As somebody who spent 3 years in the same locker room, in the same quarterback room as him, I mean, was he somebody that you enjoyed being around?
Yeah, of course, man. I love Jay. You know, we were good friends. We still are good friends. While we were there, and you know, we had 3 years together, and got to enjoy. I kind of walked alongside him as he got acclimated to Chicago, and I got to do a lot of fun stuff with him, and just we hung out a lot, man, and it was a good time. He's a good guy. He's a good teammate. He does come off a little brash on TV and stuff like that, from what I can see, but that's okay, man. He's a little salty sometimes, and that's fine. That's what Chicago needs. If he wins the Super Bowl, you know, he'll be their favorite person of all time.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Now, he's entering his 10th season in the league. There's no doubt that he has all the talent you want in a quarterback, but he just hasn't been able to put it all together. Why do you think that is?
Well, you know, it's tough to say, but a lot of times people don't realize, you know, what all goes into winning games in the NFL. It's there's a very, very thin line between winning and losing, and it comes down to 2 or 3 plays a game. I mean, a lot of time the quarterback, whether he plays great or plays horrible, you know, doesn't determine the outcome of the game. So I would say, like, yeah, there's obviously guys will make mistakes, and Jay's made his share of mistakes, but At the same time, a lot goes into it. Chicago's been rebuilding their offensive line for years. The coaching staff's been changed over 2-3 times, and the GM has been changed over 2 or 3 times. So it's a lot of change going on. I think they're just trying to find the right mix. And once that happens, the chemistry will be there, and Jay can play at the Pro Bowl level that he's been able to play at most of his career.
Now, Caleb, looking back at your career, after spending 4 seasons in Chicago, you went back to Colorado to sign with the Broncos, where you would be a backup to Peyton Manning. What were some things you were able to take from learning from an all-time great like Peyton Manning?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite years, being there in Denver. Not only, I went to school at Colorado State, so I got to go back to, I consider, somewhat home, and experience living in Denver. I love the city and the people and all that stuff. So it was a blast. And, being with Peyton, again, I kind of came in the same time he's coming in, got to walk alongside him as he's revitalizing his career in Denver and coming back from injury and trying to get accustomed to that area. And so I felt like we had a good connection as far as bringing each other along and getting acclimated. And I got to experience a lot of cool stuff with him, man. Just everything from quarterback meetings to going out to dinner nights before the games or 2 nights before the games, and then also just being at practice and watching him close up in the game and getting to go over to his house and hang out with him and his family and just experience normalcy with him. And those are some of the coolest. That was one of the coolest years of my career for sure.
Yeah, sounds great. Sounds great. You mentioned that you spent time in Colorado, obviously at Colorado State, and then with the Denver Broncos. I've always said that if there's one place I want to visit, man, it's Denver. That's definitely on my bucket list. Hopefully I can make that visit soon. It looks like a beautiful city. It looks like a fun city to visit. I mean, you can go up to the mountains and, there it is snowing. It's wintertime, and you come back down to the ground and, it's 75 degrees and sunny. So something I definitely want to experience. Yeah. And it was just last year, Caleb, when you were still playing football with the Dallas Cowboys. Why did you decide to retire, and how did you know that it was, your time to walk away from the game?
Yeah, man. Well, I got 2 kids, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and last couple of years I've been bouncing around between Baltimore, Cleveland, Dallas with the Cowboys, and the previous 2 seasons, I went through a grueling, training camp and off season and learning new system and getting acclimated to that and just living in that uncertainty of the NFL. I mean, the NFL's a lot of glamour and money, tons of money out there to be made. But what people don't realize is these are real life families that don't ever really have job security. The moment you get in the league, they're trying to replace you with the next and cheapest option, and you really have no job security. I mean, contracts don't mean anything unless you have some guaranteed money in there, in which most people don't. And if you sign a 3-year deal, they could just as easily cut you at day 2 and not owe you a cent. So it's a very stressful lifestyle, and one that when my kids are growing up, I don't want to put them through that again and keep chasing the dream. Whenever I've had a lot of good success, I've got a lot of good friendships and connections and been able to put away some money for the future. And I just decided, man, you know what? I'm tired of living that way, and I'm ready to move on and do something else. And so that was the main reason. Obviously, when teams want you, that's a way to keep around. But it kind of coincides to after the season, I was like, I'm not going to go through, getting actively pursuing a team and then having them bring me in for camp and then just be cut again. So that was basically it, man.
And we're now towards the end of August. Training camps are wrapping up, and we're halfway through the preseason. Does it feel weird at all to not be suiting up with a team around this time of the year?
I'll tell you what. Right now I don't miss it at all. Training camp was my least favorite time. football, and it was brutal. And, so when I see the guys out there in camp and grinding it out, I did not miss football whatsoever. I think once the season comes around and I'm watching games and guys having fun in the locker room and all that stuff, I think I'll miss it a little bit more. And as time goes on, I'll probably, miss it a little bit more as the years go on. But as of right now, I'm feeling pretty good about where I'm at.
You mean to tell me you don't miss Olivet Nazarene University in Bourbonnais, Illinois at all? I mean, you don't miss those living conditions?
Although Bourbonnais is a hot spot in Illinois, I don't miss it, no, not at all.
I don't blame you. Once again, former NFL quarterback Caleb Hanie joined the CS podcast presented by the NFL Draft Bible and NUC Sports. And Caleb, just a couple more NFL-related questions I have for you. Then I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing nowadays with RockSolid. Now, I mentioned that you spent the 2012 season in Denver, which means you're familiar with John Fox and offensive coordinator Adam Gase, who are both here in Chicago. Fox, of course, has a reputation of turning things around rather quickly. He took over a 1-15 Panthers team, and 2 years later, they're in a Super Bowl. He took over a 4-12 Broncos team. The next year, they're in the playoffs, and a couple years later, they're in the Super Bowl. Are you a believer in what John Fox preaches, and do you think that he can turn things around here in Chicago?
Absolutely, man. He's the right guy for the job. As soon as they hired him, I said, man, that's a perfect hire for Chicago. It's just what they need. A guy who has a defensive background, who's been there and just has a track record of success, and players love him, and he's just well respected in the NFL. So I love the guy. Coach Fox was a awesome guy to play for, and just he genuinely cares about everybody, and I think he gets the best out of everybody because of that. And so he's definitely the right guy for the job. Adam, Coach Gase is up-and-coming offensive coordinator. He coached me. He was our quarterback coach in Denver, and so I had a blast with him. He's a Mike Martz guy, and I played for Martz in Chicago there. And so we had a lot of good stories to tell about him and about Mike, and I had a blast with Adam. He's a brilliant mind, and he works really hard. You're not going to outwork him, so he's a perfect guy to have there to fit the quarterback room with Jay and those guys, and then also underneath Coach Fox.
Yeah, I was able to actually go down to Bourbonnais, cover a few of the training camp practices, and it certainly looks like things are heading towards the right direction under John Fox, Adam Gase. You got Vic Fangio working with the defense, so it looks like things are coming along with the Chicago Bears. We'll see. They're 2-0 in the preseason, but as you know, Caleb, it's just you can't take too much from preseason. Those you really want to just focus on individual performances rather than the outcome of the game. This next question is it's not Chicago related, but you were able to spend some time with this guy in Baltimore. You competed with Tyrod Taylor for the Ravens' backup job. Tyrod, of course, is now in a quarterback competition in Buffalo with E.J. Manuel and Matt Castle. What are your thoughts on Tyrod Taylor? Can he be a successful starting quarterback in the National Football League?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Tyrod, man, I was so impressed with him playing in Baltimore for that 8 months I was there. He just works so hard. He's so professional. He's one of the best athletes I've ever seen, just as far as being able to run, jump, move, throw. He's got a cannon. The dude's very smart, studies hard. He's ready to roll. And when he got that opportunity, I knew he's going to take advantage. I think he wins that job for sure. And, he's a guy that I always said if Flacco ever got hurt, Tyrod would make a case for himself to be a starter somewhere else. It'd be a great job interview for him. And fortunately and unfortunately, Flack never got hurt, and so Tyrod just had to show off in the preseason games. But man, he was always doing awesome things in the preseason and just doing the right thing, making the right decisions all the time, making stuff happen. And, I was highly impressed with him. He's definitely ready to be a starter.
Once again, Caleb Hanie, former NFL quarterback and now vice president of RockSolid, joining the CS podcast presented by the NFL Draft Bible and NUC Sports. And Caleb, as I said in the opening, man, RockSolid is a company that creates light but highly absorbent soft shell helmets for flag football and non-contact related activities. For more info, people can visit liverocksolid.com and follow on Twitter at liverocksolid. Tell us more about it if you can. You're teamed up with former NFL linebacker, one of your former teammates in Joey LaRock. Can you tell us how this idea came up and why you decided to join the company in 2014?
Yeah, man, it was actually interesting how it all happened. You know, I hadn't talked to Joey in a little bit, and he called me in October last year and said, "Hey, man, you know, just we were catching up, and he was telling me about his business, and he's like, I'm trying to get out there to Texas. Can you give me some recommendations on places to live? Because I'm from here in the Dallas area." And I was like, "Well, why you need to know that?" He's like, "Well, I'm going to be probably moving down there and start some Texas business." And you know, I just said, "Let me research your stuff a little bit more. Send me your business plan, all that stuff." And man, I fell in love with RockSolid, and you know, we both decided, let me take over start the Texas market, and, you know, bought into the company, and Joey and I took this thing on together and really co-founded this Texas market. And with RockSolid, you know, we were created because we saw a bad collision in a 7-on-7 drill, and two guys collided, two kids, and one kid had 17 stitches over his brow line. The other kid was knocked unconscious, and it was at that point we said, dude, we need to be wearing something during this type of time of year and this type of activity, because, you know, these kids are out here flying around, and anytime you're playing football, you're always going after the same object, or you're going after a same point on the field and fighting for position, and the collisions are just inevitable. And the more and more football is getting restricted as far as when you can wear contact equipment and when you can hit, and the more and more opportunities come out there for you needing to be wearing some sort of soft shell head protection for your head. And so what we did was we designed the first ever soft shell piece of head protection, soft shell helmet, specifically for football. The only other things out there are rugby scrum cap type things, and, you know, they weren't made with football in mind. You know, the back of the head is exposed, being that they have a tie system. Our stuff has a beefed up back of the head, you know, in all the problem areas of the head where you would collide: the jawbone, the orbital bone, the temple, the forehead, and the back of the head. Those are beefed up areas on our helmet. So, you know, we came out with that in last March in 2014, and after that it just blew up. In California, we got over 300 high schools. In Texas, we have over 100 high schools with just one spring season under our belts, and you know, dozens and dozens of flag leagues across the country, and we've outfitted over 20,000 kids just in the first year of business. And so it's been a blast, man. It's such a need for the way football is going now. A lot more kids are going to flag football, and their parents are nervous about football in general because of concussions and head issues and head injury issues and stuff like that. And so we feel like by wearing a soft shell helmet, you really provide the parents a little bit more of a peace of mind that, hey, if our son does collide, they're going to be protected. They're going to have a layer of protection for those surface level injuries like brow line cuts, orbital bone fractures, head contusions, skull fractures, and they don't have to worry about that stuff as much. And then also the kid's going to have a great time, especially the young kids. I mean, they love wearing football helmets, and they want to feel like real football players, although they're not, or because they're not allowed to tackle, and a lot of times they don't get the feel that they're really playing football. And so we feel like it enhances the experience for everybody from all sides of this thing. So it's been a blast, man. We're out here in Texas. We're all across the country in 7-on-7 leagues that mandate our helmets, and flag football leagues in Florida, in Jersey, and all the way to Southern California and Texas. And it's been a fun ride, and we're just growing more and more every day.
Now, just a little bit ago, you said that there's many flag football leagues around the country that use your guys' helmets. There's hundreds and hundreds of high schools in California and Texas. I see that you guys recently released some new helmets that you created for the University of Nebraska. Is the plan for everybody to see RockSolid helmets being used in high schools and colleges and flag football leagues all across the country?
Yeah, so that's the plan. Our goal is to outfit every single kid or young adult, or even adult for that matter, that's out there playing football. And we want the culture to shift to more of a socially mandated type of atmosphere to where, hey, if you're out there playing football, you need to be wearing a helmet, whether it's non-contact or non-tackle football, or whether it's full contact tackle football. You need to be wearing some sort of head protection on your head. And that's our goal, is to make the experience enhanced for everybody, make the game safer, promote the game from the ground level, drive those numbers back up for youth football by adding a layer of protection, and also, changing the image of this is a reactive culture. Whatever, they're going to ignore all the issues, and then whatever comes up, they'll react. No, we're being proactive and creating something that's for head injuries in the non-contact football space before it becomes a national hot button topic like concussions and stuff like that is in the NFL. And so we hope to have every flag league across the country. I mean, NFL flag and USA football, they have 250,000 plus kids a year that are playing in their flag football leagues, and we hope to have every high school, every college in Division I all the way to Division III, and anyone who's playing football, as well as hopefully NFL teams in a few years.
And the company is called RockSolid. To learn more or to purchase a helmet, people can visit liverocksolid.com. Follow on Twitter at liverocksolid. They can follow you as well at Caleb Hanie 12. Caleb, is there anything else that we should know about the up and coming helmet company trying to change the game?
I don't think so, man. I think we've got covered everything. I appreciate you letting me get into it, man. We're very passionate about it. If people want to order helmets, they can just go right there to liverocksolid.com and purchase their helmet right there on the website. You can also purchase team orders where we give team discounts, so just call us on the number there at the website, liverocksolid.com, or reach out to us on Twitter. Mine is at Caleb Hanie 12. And then we have at Live Rock Solid, and just reach out to us, and we'll get you taken care of.
Hey, sounds great. Well, it was certainly a pleasure chatting with you, Caleb. Hopefully we could do this again down the line. I'm certainly wishing you and the people at RockSolid all the best.
All right, man. I appreciate you having me on. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks again. Take care.
All right. You too.